Power isn't always taken with force. Sometimes it slips away in silence. Through a glance, a pause, a single hesitation too long. The real danger lies in the subtle ones, the ones that slip into your tone, your timing, your posture. Micro expressions, half-second pauses, nervous energy, and those are the tells, the signs people use to figure you out. And once they do, you've already lost control. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology ever gave it a name. But he buried his core so deep that no one could reach it. Just 3. But they are powerful and they are common. Because the second someone figures out what shakes you, they own you, not through domination, but through insight. Most people don't lose power through betrayal or loud mistakes. They lose it quietly through emotion, through tiny leaks in their mask. And the most dangerous part, eagerness, is that subtle, desperate signal that you need something: approval, attention, validation, and mystery. That's half of power. They sense your need, and your need creates their confidence. But flip. That walk in detached, grounded, silent, and suddenly they become unsure. And uncertainty is the birthplace of control, an opportunity. And once you project that need even just a little, you create a power balance. Pause before speaking, not less. Let moments hang. Don't rush to agree or explain. Make it feel like you're processing, not performing. The one who appears least eager always appears most in control. Not because they are better, just because they don't need anything in the moment. You lean in too far. You nod too quickly. You answer before they even finish their question. How many times have you revealed your need through text messages sent too fast? Double messages when they didn't reply. Compliments that went too far. Showing up too early. Saying yes before they even finished the offer. That's not charm. That's exposure. And exposure is vulnerability. You laugh a little too loud at something not that funny. You throw out compliments that feel more like you're begging to be seen. In short, you're trying to prove you're worthy. But in doing so, you prove you're not ready. You never notice you're leaking until it's too late. The emotions that expose you aren't the loud ones. Not joy, not rage, not fear. See, Machiavelli never tried to hide his surface. He let people see the outer shell. If you want to become someone that no one can manipulate, someone who can't be bent, shaken, or read, you have to erase 3 emotions from your visible behavior. The first is eagerness. Now, don't get it twisted. Eagerness isn't the same as excitement or passion. You've just told the other person, you have something I want. And that gives them leverage over you. It shows up in interviews, in dating, in negotiations, even in casual talk. Machiavelli would have said, the one who chases is already beneath the one who withholds. Eagerness makes you readable. And readability kills mystery. When you walk into a room, eager people may smile. They may act kind. But subconsciously, they devalue you. To start neutralizing this energy, you need to slow yourself down. Not your thoughts, just your expression of them. Now think about your own life. Machiavelli would say, never expose anything unless it serves your position. The second emotion is trickier. It's called conflicted admiration. This is when you admire someone but secretly resent the fact that they have something you want. It might be status, success, confidence, influence, whatever it is, it pulls you in. But also stirs something inside, and this emotion leaks, not through words, but through energy. You compliment them, but your eyes hold tension. You support them, but deep down you're comparing. You align with them, but never fully accept their position. In the moment they feel that subtle dissonance, 2 things happen. They realize you want their position. They stop trusting you. It's built on insecurity, covered in respect, but even casual observers feel that clash. They hear one thing and feel another. Start by noticing your comparisons. Who do you watch a little too closely? Who do you praise but feel uncomfortable around? Who makes you shrink inside even while you pretend otherwise? And that's all it takes for you to lose credibility from that moment. You are no longer an ally or a threat. With a polite smile, conflicted admiration is poison. Machiavelli would have crushed this emotion in his court, because he knew when you admire what you envy, you announce to things your submission and your fracture. Power doesn't come from half-hearted admiration, it comes from either silent study or full, graceful respect. Never both. Not because it makes you weak, but because it invites pressure. They test it because your hesitation gives them permission. Not because they know more, but because they show less internal chaos. It sends a green light to every predator in the room. Now is your chance. So how do you kill this habit? Invisibility is a crack. And cracks don't survive long in games of power. That feeling isn't shameful, but it is visible. You need to break the habit of asking for permission before acting. You have a thought. Say it. You're unsure. Move calmly anyway. Someone questions you. Don't rush to explain. Let them sit in your silence. Let them feel the weight of your stillness. Which brings us to the third and final emotion, arguably the most fatal of all, anticipatory doubt. This isn't fear. Fear comes after a threat. Anticipatory doubt comes before anything even happens. It's the hesitation in your tone, the way your voice drops when you suggest something, the disclaimer before you speak. I might be wrong, but, and it shows in posture, in tone, in the way you glance at others for approval before finishing your thought. It's not overt, but it's a signal, a message, one that says, I'm not totally sure I believe in myself, so feel free to challenge me, or this probably won't work, but I'll try. You might not hear yourself doing it, but everyone else does. Especially people looking for weakness. Anticipatory doubt is what someone feels when they've already rehearsed failure in their head, and they will. Machiavelli would call this self-sabotage. People don't test your confidence because they hate you. This is why the person who speaks slowly, pauses deliberately, and projects calm even if they don't have the smartest idea is perceived as a leader to kill. Anticipatory doubt. You need to stop narrating your insecurities, because confidence doesn't come from being right. It comes from never flinching. Here's the truth Machiavelli knew. You will feel eagerness. You will feel conflicted admiration. You will feel doubt. You're human. But the key isn't to stop feeling, it's to stop leaking. Energy readers, they watch how you pause, how your breath shifts, how your tone subtly changes when you're uncomfortable. They listen for words like maybe, I don't know, or I could be wrong, but not by becoming a machine, but by becoming deliberate. They notice how you react when someone disagrees, how quickly your eyes drop, how fast you try to explain. Because most people aren't mind readers, they're body readers, signals, and if someone wants to control you, all they need is one of those openings, and every one of those subtle shifts, those are emotional leaks. If you want to build a mind that can't be played, you have to close those leaks. Your words chosen. Walls made of stillness, of posture, of patience. Your posture grounded. Your silence intentional. People treat you differently. They interrupt you less. They take your words more seriously. They ask for your opinion with more care. Not because you demanded respect, but because your silence created it. When you become unpredictable, you become powerful. When people don't know how to affect you, they start guessing. He knew that even the strongest kings fall when they become too visible, too familiar, too emotionally accessible. Feel it, break it, not because you fight harder, but because you leave nothing open to strike. That's what makes someone truly dangerous, not hiding in the shadows, but standing in plain sight, revealing nothing. And while they're scrambling to resolve the silence, you're watching. And people don't mess with mysteries. They try to solve them, they orbit them, they adjust themselves round them, calm, still, already 3 moves ahead. And guess what? That's exhausting. That's your edge. You become the person who's impossible to map. And that's when people stop trying to manipulate and start trying to understand. It just means you decide when and how you express it. You move from automatic reaction to intentional expression. Once you learn to remove these 3 emotional tells from your visible behavior, something subtle but profound starts to shift. Machiavelli would have called this the art of concealment. Not hiding who you are, just hiding what can be used against you. You not once. No need to gush. You already know your worth. So instead of walls made of stone, he built walls made of behavior. Walls that don't push people away but control what they see when they get close. Even if they don't know how to name it. They try to draw you in but you don't move. And in a world addicted to noise, that signal becomes magnetic. You don't match their energy. You're no longer emotionally hijacked by every comment, every look, every silence. And in that space, others lose their grip. You no longer react on cue. You choose. You don't mirror their vulnerability. You don't fall into their emotional rhythm. That's the key. They try to win you over not because you asked, but because they feel your presence demands it. You don't smile too much, and your stillness says more than any words ever could. You don't laugh at everything, not by showing force, but by withholding just enough to make others guess. You don't rush to explain when someone misunderstands you. You let the tension live, and in that tension, you rise. Because tension isn't weakness, it's gravity. When people feel it, they lean in. They try to fix it. That's dominance, not through noise, but through restraint. You become untouchable. Once you strip away those 3 emotional leaks: eagerness, conflicted admiration, and anticipatory doubt, you become a mystery. Why? Because now they can't tell. Are you impressed? Are you threatened? Are you even interested? They don't know. And when people don't know how you feel, they don't know how to move. So they slow down. They pick their words carefully. That's the shift Machiavelli wanted, from being on trial to being in control. He didn't just want rulers to have power. He wanted them to become power. And guess what? This doesn't mean you lose empathy. It doesn't mean you stop connecting with people. Everything becomes a choice. Someone praises you. Someone insults you. You don't defend. You let the silence hang. Let them squirm. Someone brags in your presence. You stay still. Because once you remove the need to react, you remove their ability to provoke. And that makes you unplayable. People feel it instead. They fall into yours, because your restraint, your stillness has become the signal. Machiavelli understood that this kind of emotional control doesn't just give you influence, it gives you freedom. That's where true power is built, in the pause between how you feel and what you express. It's in that pause that you create space. Once you master the pause, once you stop leaking emotions, something deeper begins to shift, not just in how others treat you, but in how you treat yourself. You begin to realize how much of your energy used to be spent over-explaining, overreacting, over-justifying, trying to be understood, trying to be accepted, trying to be liked. You no longer rush to fill silences or soften your stance just to make people comfortable. You don't dilute your presence to be digestible. You simply are measured, precise, unshakable. Because you stopped playing the emotional game. You are not trying to win approval anymore. You are not chasing validation. You're not proving anything. You're playing a different game. Entirely the energy game. But that version of you, it's gone now. They speak more carefully around you. They second-guess their own reactions. They watch your face for clues, only to find stillness. They push just to see if you'll flinch. But you don't. Now. You speak only when necessary. You move only with intent. And people notice. They notice because now, when you enter a room, they feel the weight of your presence before you say a word. It doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't sway. It stays centered, grounded, immovable. And once they lose the belief, they obey, not out of fear but out of respect. Why? And in the energy game, your emotional presence is no longer something people can flip on or off with praise or rejection, especially when they can't read you. They'll throw emotional bait. And your silence speaks louder than anyone's voice. You become the constant in the room. They'll act vulnerable, hoping you'll mirror them. They'll use flattery, guilt, provocation, not because they want to connect, but because they want control. That's what makes you impenetrable, becoming it quietly, calmly, permanently. But don't get it twisted, people will test you. Let the silence stretch, not because you're intimidating, but because you're unreadable. And what can't be read, can't be predicted. What can't be predicted, can't be controlled. Let the tension grow until it breaks them, not you. Don't give them what they're looking for. That belief changes everything. Let the bait rot. Because once someone tries to test your edge and finds no opening, no reaction, no insecurity to grab onto, they begin to believe you have no weakness. Not because you scare them, but because your calm forces them into awareness. It's not brute strength. It's not aggression. It's the quiet, slow erosion of their confidence in controlling you. They fall by leakage. Emotional leakage. They show too much. They speak too freely. They react too quickly. And in doing so, they hand their enemies the very blueprint to destroy them. Because they know now, you don't need their approval. You don't need their applause, and in their guessing, they start revealing themselves. You don't need to be understood. You built something more powerful than likability. You've built presence, and once that final piece clicks, once your emotions are no longer visible, your energy can't be swayed. Not just a person, a force, something people can't quite define but instinctively respect or even fear. That's the final level of Machiavelli's game. Not just understanding power, not just studying strategy, but embodying it. Because here's the truth, an impenetrable mind doesn't have to declare itself. It doesn't ask for respect. It commands it without a word. People don't think to challenge you. That's where real dominance begins. You become the one people adjust for, the one whose opinion is sought, but never demanded. The one whose approval is valuable not because it's loud, but because it's rare. People start choosing their words with more care, asking more precise questions. And that awareness, it's a kind of submission. Machiavelli knew that most rulers don't fall by sword or scandal. But not you. You've sealed the leaks. You've locked the doors. No eagerness. No conflicted admiration. No anticipatory doubt. Just silence, precision, presence. Now, people can't figure you out. They can't predict what you want, what bothers you, what drives you. They're left guessing, and that's the final reversal. Your presence becomes a mirror. You don't even have to speak. Just by being unreadable, you force others to confront their own insecurity, their own emotional noise, and they hate it. But they feel it, and they respect it, and when people have to earn access, they approach you differently, cautiously, carefully. And that caution, that hesitation, that's power, because now, your presence no longer asks for attention, it commands it. You've stopped inviting people into your inner world. You've made entry a privilege. Machiavelli would tell you, they adapt. Because you've shown them that you can't be baited. You can't be cracked. You can't be moved unless you choose to move. Power doesn't come from being liked or cool. It means unreadable, calculated, and flinching. It comes from being considered dangerous, and dangerous doesn't mean loud. How freely you offered them, how casually you handed people the keys to influence you. When someone tries to gauge you and nothing lands, they recalibrate. The three emotions that once betrayed you: eagerness, conflicted admiration, and anticipatory doubt. They were never the real threat. The threat was how visible they were. But now they don't even know where the door is. This shift changes everything. It changes how people treat you and how you treat yourself. You stop betraying your own strength by trying to be relatable, by rushing to be understood, by softening your edge for comfort. You stop trying to be included. Immediate connection. They'll call you cold, distant, arrogant. You start choosing to be remembered. You move with restraint. You understand that presence is leverage, and those who only understand you when you're bleeding aren't allies, they're addicts. Every word you speak, every nod, every silence, it either sharpens your leverage or dulls it. So you sharpen. You sit in stillness. While others scramble, you say less, and they say more. You show less, and they reveal everything. Why? Because they're trying to gain the upper hand, and every second you stay still, they realize they don't have it. That's when you become dangerous, because you stopped playing the game and started bending it. And yes, it comes with a cost. You lose people, the ones who need constant access to your thoughts, the ones who want emotional performance, reassurance. Let them. Because connection built on exposure isn't connection, it's consumption. You don't exist to satisfy someone else's emotional appetite. You exist to build, and building requires silence, focus, control. So you build quietly. You rise without noise. You eliminate emotional signals, not to become empty, but to become precise. And slowly, the ones who once demanded your vulnerability will either fade or evolve. Because this kind of presence doesn't attract everyone. It repels most, and that's the point. An impenetrable mind isn't loved by many. It's respected by few, and respect, and like attention, endures.